Interesting. Do you have a favorite horror movie?
Favorite horror movie? Well, probably Psycho by Alfred Hitchcock. Probably
Okay.
it's the greatest horror film I've ever seen.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you have like a writing ritual? You have something that you do in order to get inspired to write horror? I don't know. Do you go visit places? I mean, each writer or an artist sometimes gets the energy somewhere or try to get inspired one way or another. Do you have something like that?
Actually, no. Actually, I don't like to. My idea of horror is something that's completely, divorced from reality. So probably I write horror when I get really fed up with reality. When I'm fed up with when sometimes I'm feeling very low or depressed and I'm bored with just the trouble.
Routine of
Just
life.
the routine. I just go and write something that's pure fantasy, just to entertain myself. And if I'm entertained, I know that someone else will if I publish it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You have a blog, and what you do in the blog is you do book reviews and movie reviews, or you post reviews, and I found that very interesting, and I want to ask you, because we do talk about what's going around in the scene here on FANNATION, and what is the movie that you do advise people to go and see that is on nowadays, for instance, or maybe, I mean, like a new kind of movie that you advise people to go and see it, or to buy the DVD, or to get it?
Well, the best film I've seen recently, the most entertaining was Sherlock Holmes. Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law.
Jude Law.
It was very entertaining. As a big fan of Sherlock Holmes, I thought I wouldn't like it because it's modernized a bit, but it's a very entertaining film.
Lots of people said the chemistry between them is great.
Yeah, it is great. Just their take on the character of Sherlock Holmes and his sidekick Watson is just very, very unique and very fun. It's a very fun movie. I never thought it would be this fun. And I think it's suitable for all ages. But this is the best, I think, movie being shown right now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is there a book that you do recommend people to read nowadays?
Well, give me two.
Aside from Beware the Stranger, of course.
Yeah, of course. No, I'll let you know about two. The first is called Beyond Paradise, or وراء الفردوس, by an Egyptian writer called Mansour Azz al-Din. Okay. It's one of the best books I've read, I think, in a long, one of the best Egyptian books I've read in a long time.
It doesn't have to do with horror, or?
No, it's a bit gothic. It's a psychological story. It's not horror at all. And it's also nominated for a Booker Prize now.
Nice.
And also the other book I read that's really, really good is a book called Pardon Me and Other Fears, أو أعذريني ومخاوف أخرى. Okay. It's written by a bunch of young writers together, and it's a short story collection of horror stories, but I've never read anything like it in Egypt. It's the first of its kind, and it has some really good stuff in it.
Interesting.
Shockingly good stuff. I encourage people to go buy it.
Speaking about the younger generation, I feel very interesting that there are lots of distribution houses that are now interested into distributing books for people that maybe are not known in the scene of writing, and then they become known. And my question to you, what do you think, as a writer and as a reader and as someone who reviews, about this trend of there are young people, the younger generation, who are now writing books? What do you think? I mean, you think it's enriching the scene? You think there are really good potential in the writers of nowadays?
Yeah, as a reader, of our generation, we usually we got really bored of reading at a young age because of the education system we have and the kind of literature we read.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just a breath of fresh air. Just a couple of years ago, there was this explosion of new talent on the scene, thanks to, as you were saying, independent publishing houses. So I think it's really good. It's adding more and more and more voices, and it's giving customers, it's giving readers tons of choices now. You can read tons of different genres that were never published before. Just a couple of years ago, there were just like 4 or 5 writers who were like over 50. Who are very famous and published by very famous publishing houses, and that's it. Now it's completely different. Now we have dozens of independent publishing houses. Some of them release some really bad stuff, but most of the stuff, just to be fair, most of the stuff is giving voice to tons of young writers who are producing some quality work. some quality Egyptian writing, I have to say.
And there are different, I mean, they're giving different flavors in each one in his own unique way, writing different things, not the typical things that we used to do or we used to read. And you choose, I mean, the more the merrier, and you get the chance to choose between them.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, it's for the benefit of the readers.
Exactly.
Like you and me, you know,
Exactly.
just our generation couldn't find things to read after Naguib Mahfouz. Now you can go into a bookstore, any bookstore, and you find dozens of new releases every month. You know, it's a privilege. You are a privileged generation in that sense.
Do you think English languages, I mean, books written in English would, by Egyptians, would attract people to read? I mean, I might say I would want to read a book by an American or someone like from Britain instead of reading an Egyptian kind of English written book. Do you think it has its people would actually buying these kind of books, reading them?
Well, I hope so. You know, books like young adult books like Harry Potter and Twilight are selling by the thousands in Egypt. So I'm hoping that people, the same people who read these kinds of books, would go to a book written by an Egyptian writer. Hopefully, they would think it's as good, or hopefully even close to these books that are bestsellers. It's a new thing and it's a risk, and we're going to see what's going on. I don't know yet, but the future will tell.
Let's hope so. I just want to say a big thank you to Ayman Al-Khayat, who called us earlier, and would love to hear from you again because the call was cut. Another SMS there saying it's a good thing to find Egyptian examples like you who like to take a lead in some things and reach to it, but would ever plan for that, or it just was a following circumstances which lead to the first author who wrote in English? I mean, as I'm trying to understand the question. Were you intentionally thinking to be the first one to write in English? How did it come for you to come and publish the book?
No, as I said in the beginning, I write mostly in Arabic. You know, I've written, I think, over a dozen screenplays in Arabic and only 2 screenplays in English. And I've written several writings in Arabic, and I've written actually, I have another book coming out later this year in Arabic called Muzakkarat Mayyeta, or The Diary of a Dead Young Woman, which ironically isn't a horror novel.
It's not?
It's not a horror novel.
Interesting.
So I write in Arabic, but things in English, I do it every now and then. And luckily, the 2 things I did were released. They were released. One was published, the other was released. So, and we'll see what happens. You know, it's just as I think Gamal is saying, it's something new, and we'll see what happens.
Well, Ahmed, thank you very much, and best of luck.